everybody. Welcome to another exciting episode of 31 Days of Indie Horror. I'm your host, Jonathan Moody. I've got an awesome guest. She's never been on this show before, but I think you've seen some of the stuff I've done, right? And everything. Yeah. So Stacey Lynn Book, everybody. How are you doing, Stacey?
I'm doing pretty good. How about you?
Good. So Stacey and I met through a mutual friend, Lydia Manson, who she says hi, by the way. So,
oh, yeah. Tell her I said hi. Well, I'll just text her.
Yeah, just text her later. Just say, that. But yeah, so we're here to talk about the I guess it was 2021 movie. I think it just came out.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, Share or Die, which so what I'm thinking is I think this was made a little earlier than 2021, but unfortunately due to COVID and other reasons, it was not actually put out and released until this year. It's but because the only reason I'm saying that is because it's such a topical thing for 2019. It was a creepy pasta video, so like our movie, and but in its own way, like its own original way. And so there was what is it? It's Share or Die. Share, pretty much you get what used to be chain mails. Remember those?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I remember those. Forward in 5 minutes to 17 people or you die.
Yeah.
I remember those.
But nobody ever did. I don't think.
Just like, people in their 70s and 80s just learning how to use the internet did. But for the most part, like, I think it just became a joke, right? Like,
right.
Everybody knew about them. Everybody got one, but nobody ever sent it anywhere. So I don't know how everybody got one, but
actually, I mean, some people sent them because they just, maybe they felt like whatever. But nowadays, like those are viewed as like spam, like and they go to the spam folder or whatever.
And you never see them.
You never really see them much, I'm sure they still exist, Like I'm wondering how many people are dying right now because I didn't answer those chain mails that I left.
What I think happened is they've just kind of morphed into those, share and repost on Facebook things where it's some like long inspirational quote that you're supposed to send to, 15 people that you admire or whatever. Like I think it's just kind of morphed into that as opposed to being like I think they even reference the Momo challenge in here.
Mm-hmm.
So like that definitely dates it like immediately when they say that. You're like, oh yep, I remember that summer.
Right. And people still talk about Momo. Momo's not dead. Momo's still around somewhere. No, I don't think Momo will ever die. But see, okay. So my big question, and we'll get into like the story and all that other stuff. But before that, I've got to mention this because it just drove me nuts. And by the way, there will be spoilers. There's always spoilers in every episode. So it's okay
if you don't want spoilers for anything.
Well, if you're watching something called Share or Die and it's a little longer of a review, you're gonna expect that there's gonna probably be spoilers in there somewhere. So Share or Die is a Tubi, is on Tubi. You can find it on there. But at the end of the movie, there's a bit that just drove me nuts where the brother, I guess gets it or whatever, and who's actually played by the director or one of the directors. And he goes up there to grab his phone because he hasn't checked his phone in a couple
2 days, whatever.
Yeah, whatever, 2 or 3 days.
Camping.
Right. He went camping. He left his phone at his house. I mean, nobody ever really does that. I don't even think the director does that. He's just making a character that does that, which
that's just a plot thing. Yeah.
Right.
That's just that we need this to happen for plot reasons.
Exactly. So he gets back and he gets the Share or Die at the end. But my big question is like, okay, say somebody shared it with you, right? And you didn't have your phone on when they shared it with you, and you say you forgot your phone and never get to see it. What happens? Does the thing kill you or does it wait? Like,
I think it waits. I think that's what that's insinuating, which is weird. But I think it's like upon like viewing, is when like that annoying, timer goes off, that thing. And you're like, thanks, that's cool movie, appreciate it. I think that's what it's implying. So I guess death does wait.
I don't. Okay. No, because see, all right. So in the beginning of the movie, you see a guy that's like basically controlling this or something.
I think he's the dude. I don't know anymore, because he's in the room that the room that the dude is in, who's like tracking it crazy man style with his push pins and whatnot. And I don't understand what all of this was shoehorned in for, except for the giant exposition dump, like right before the third act, right?
Right.
Like there was no reason for any of that nonsense until Mr. Exposition has to come in and go, hey, here's what's going on.
Right.
Like it's an AI demon,
Right. And that's the funny thing about this whole thing is like, if you did you use the subtitles on
I usually do. So I usually, when I'm watching a movie for the first time, I'll watch it one straight through, normal regular experience. Second time around, I'll put subtitles on and pay more attention to that to catch things that I missed the first time around. But to be honest, okay, and I review movies all the time, and I love indie movies, and I've worked on a bunch of zero budget negative budget movies. Negative. So like I know what it's like, right? Like you know what you're getting into when you're watching a movie like this. So I'm not having any hate. I love this, but it's not great.
Well, I mean, we'll get
great
to
idea.
A great concept.
Yes.
And we'll talk more about the execution and everything. But the reason I asked about the subtitles is because if you notice when the person's talking, you know how sometimes the subtitles will say a character when they're not on the screen.
Yes,
so you know,
give you their
name, character.
Yep.
It gave it mastermind as that guy. So I'm wondering, or the mastermind, I forgot which one it was. So I'm wondering if that guy was was the mastermind behind the whole thing, programmer. But like, I'm like wondering how that
then is
nothing was ever really explained. And that's the biggest problem with the movie is that, okay, so Final Destination, right? Mm-hmm. You look at that movie, and that's obviously what this movie is very much like, like
similar to Countdown,
right?
I'm even getting like vibes of like, because you get that like kind of subgenre of found footage where we get like the screen capture thing happening. So you think of like the Unfriended movies, even even the end of this, or some of the plot threads kind of gave me Truth or Dare vibes.
That's what I was thinking too.
Yes, where she then like, I was like, why isn't this bitch just like doing a fucking doing a Facebook story? Okay, fine. Cool, because I do all the time accidentally. But why isn't she just doing a Facebook story and be like, share or die, everybody, bitches? Like,
it's okay. I fucking curse on purpose. So
okay, good, good.
We're good.
But that's so. I was wondering like, why didn't she go that route with it? Like, because it felt so much like it was leading up to her spreading it to everybody, right? Like I kind of wanted that. So that's why I was getting a lot of vibes from that, but really feeling a Countdown vibe too, where the timer and
countdown, kind of and no, I get that. I'm one of the few people that I know that actually like that movie. A lot of people have said that they didn't like Countdown.
I enjoyed it.
I know,
nutty, but it used humor in a good way too, which
it was PG-13, which which I think a lot of people didn't like. I think it was PG-13. It felt very PG-13, so maybe it wasn't, and it was R, but it was only because of cursing and other things. Soft R, it was not. That movie is something that like if it's R, kids are gonna sneak into it, kind of thing. So very Blumhousey, even though Truth or Dare was Blumhouse.
Yes,
and a lot of people hated Truth or Dare too. And the problem I have with the only problem I have with Truth or Dare is that it was a great concept that I feel like could have been better had it gone the Final Destination route instead of the I'm gonna possess you route, or whatever. It would have been more fun if it were like accidents that cause the deaths, or
Yeah,
whatever,
I could see that. Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
but anyway, that's
I
whatever.
digress.
So I digress. So let's go to the story. So basically, for anybody who hasn't seen it, I don't know why you're listening, and you probably just got a lot of spoilers, but or you have seen it and this. So basically, the movie starts out with this chick. I guess she's semi-popular. She's she kind of hangs out with the cool kids or whatever, and she's talking to some guy, and she all the through text, and she gets like a share the share or die thing from not a friend but somebody she I guess used to be friends with or something.
Yes, it was the Becca chick.
Yeah, the main chick who
Yeah, our
I
final
guess
girl.
she's the main chick, I guess, because she's the one we focus on the most, but she's not like a hero or anything.
No, I don't. You don't particularly like any of the characters, which I guess is why
Yeah.
it's enjoyable. Because there are some deaths in here that I enjoy. They're fun, and very much indie and low budget horror gore, and that's like my wheelhouse. That's what I started in, was effects. So like the teeth bit when you can see how big it is in her mouth. Like I love it though. It's
I
so good. I love
I
body horror.
think I think that was the scene that I actually closed my eyes. I
Yeah, I
hate
love it.
I hate because she starts taking the stuff and putting it in her mouth.
Yeah,
When she did that, I cannot watch
tools in the mouth.
anything. I can't watch anything that has to do with like plucking out teeth or
Yeah,
whatever, because like I go to the dentist way too much,
yeah.
and that shit just scares the shit out of me.
Which is why it's used. It's such a good beat. I loved that. I mean, she slits her throat in front of her kids, who are also kind of shitty, right? Like those
Right.
kids are kind of douches. But that's the thing with horror, and I guess what maybe some people love and some people truly hate about it is that it's not really fun to watch people you care about die in horrible, tragic ways. But it sure is a good time to watch a shitbag eat dirt, like
Yep.
I love it.
Yep.
And I think that's one of the huge, like, contentious dividing things in the horror community is like, it's just stupid, mindless kills. And it's like, but yeah, do you want to watch? I think it was Final Destination 3 and the bonus features, which for all that movie's faults, I just adore. And I love the behind the scenes features that they did for it and all the extra stuff that they
No,
put
yeah, they
into
went
it.
all out on that one.
Sure did. And they were talking in the interviews about it, about just kind of like horror theory in general and the genre and how it's progressed. And they reference Men, Women, and Chainsaws. And they talk about the transition from identifying with the victims to identifying with the killer and rooting for the
Mhm.
killer, which is what we typically see in a lot of movies. I think there's a good balance nowadays of both, of rooting for the killer and also rooting for some really good characters that have been developed in recent years that people
Uh-huh.
are loving in horror franchises. But like this movie, I absolutely love watching all these people just eat shit because they are
Yeah.
all turds.
Well, that's the thing. You've got usually if you have a hero, you have to have you have to have somewhat of a reason to care about
Yeah, and
them.
I don't know if I care about anybody in
I don't.
this.
Yeah, even Becca, who you were supposed to be sympathetic when she got kidnapped, right?
Yeah.
But in the same sense, she's such an asshole and bitch to him that I just didn't care.
And
And
she got his girlfriend killed,
yeah, and
or
she
his
had felt
ex
no
killed. Like,
remorse over it.
yeah.
Which, if she had showed a little bit of remorse, like she really felt bad because she told her sorry, or whatever through
Yeah,
text,
she's like, share
you
it.
know.
Oh, sorry, it's too late. And then she just stopped responding to the poor girl.
Yeah, she really didn't give a fuck, and you know, and see,
She's angsty.
like maybe it is the generation thing. Maybe it's a generational thing of
Yeah.
like people are only out for themselves, or social media is going to be the death of all of us, that kind of attitude. Because I think the director, if I'm correct, he's closer to my age, which is I'm 39.
Yeah.
He's closer to my age than he is, those young kids, so it's really funny to kind of see Joseph I'm gonna fuck up his name. I'm friends with him on Facebook too, by the way. So
Whoopsies, I'll shut
no,
up.
it's
But
okay.
like I
It's
prefaced it
okay.
with, I love this. I
Right.
love it. And
You
I've
know,
made absolute garbage that couldn't even come close to the quality of this. So like
this
I'm
is
not
I
even one to
mean, it's
talk.
not this is not
With love.
like a terrible movie at
No.
all. Like this isn't like how people are like this is the worst. And you know what? People might say that on fucking Amazon or whatever. This is the worst movie I've ever seen. And
People just want funny reviews.
I'm
That's
like
all.
thinking, have you seen enough movies? Because this is not that. This is a movie that I think this is gonna sound harsh, maybe, but it's just a mediocre movie. It's not horrible, but I would watch it again. You know,
Yeah, for
like
fun. Absolutely. It's a
yeah, I mean,
fun put it on
you put it on the background while you're
background. Yeah.
watching something else. I don't know, but like it's not something like I need to like watch all the time. It's just something like, you know what, if it's on Tubi and I'm just like, you know what, I'll fucking watch that again, that kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nowadays I don't have time to do that because I'm doing all these reviews
This
and
round the
shit.
clock, right?
Yeah, so.
By the way, the worst movie ever, okay, or at least one of the very worst movies ever is I'll Always Know What You Did Last Summer, which is the third in the I Know What You
Yeah,
Did Last Summer
yeah.
trilogy.
Did you really think
Trash.
that? I don't remember. I have not seen it in forever, but
It's
I don't remember it being
it's
like
zombie Ben Willis from the first movie
okay.
attacking a group of kids that live in his whole slicker as the fisherman killer in the, and I'm going to quote James A. Janice from Dead Meat here, the landlocked state of Colorado. This movie takes place in Colorado, and it's so
Like not
nonsensical.
like North Carolina or wherever the
Yeah,
first one took
it's in
place.
Colorado, and
Hmm.
it's still the fisherman killer for some reason targeting these kids who have nothing to do with it was a cash thing. It
Yeah.
was a cash grab. Now there are some great actors in there, or good actors in there, that like, let's just forget that that's in there real, like we just
Right.
pretend that didn't happen because it's
I
not
bet they
them.
do.
Probably, because that's the thing, a lot of times people will like dump on the actors, and there's some rough performances here and there, but for the most part, like, the actors do the best with what they're given. They don't write the words on the page,
Right.
like you gotta let them do their thing, and there's some funny funny moments in here that I enjoyed.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And a lot of them, I went to look at their IMDb, and a lot of them they've never done anything other than this movie.
Yeah.
And so for their first film or whatever, or one that's at least just, first one on IMDb that's mentioned, I thought they did a wonderful job. Two of my favorite characters are the two girls on the beach. They I believe are completely new and stuff. And
Yeah,
the
one girl doesn't even have her picture on IMDb. The one who played the blonde.
yeah,
The Jessica who peels her, oh my god, can we talk about that for just a second? When she peels her forehead off, I loved it. I give me good skin flaps at the end when she's like flopped down on the ground, you see her eyeball is in her hand, like it's incredible. Like they put so much, and again, is like, coming from the effects background, they put so much time and energy into that, I guarantee it, and she sells it with that scream, like, good on you. That was a good time. Give me
right.
more of that,
That stuff was pretty awesome.
Yeah. That's when you stop vacuuming to like watch, like you're like cleaning and doing dishes and you stop so you can watch it. That's that scene. It's real good.
Yeah, it's definitely like some really good makeup effects. That was another thing that I actually really did enjoy, the makeup effects. I also have another friend who is in this movie called his name is Michael Kenneth Farr, and he plays one of the homosexuals who are out in the woods. He's the white guy.
Couple.
Yeah, the white couple, or the white and the mixed couple.
Mixed race couple. Yes,
Yeah, mixed race
he
couple.
was
Yeah,
a turd.
his character was definitely.
Super
He did
turd.
he did a wonderful job playing that.
Yeah, your boyfriend's taking you out in the woods to go camping, and he tells you a really weird, sort of romantic kind of story. And then you take an axe to the gut, like what? That was a day for them.
I know, seriously. Just because I think it was like it took him a while to figure out what to do with the thing, and then he died.
Yeah.
Which I think, a 60 seconds is not that long.
No.
That scene where the dude is trying to figure out whether he should send it to his ex or not.
First of all, that kid, what was
Forgot
what
his
was his
name.
name? I'm watching it. I literally have it
Hold
on
on.
silence whenever I review a movie. Like I always have it on because it triggers my memory. Like
Yeah,
I'll see it.
I actually sometimes I do too. This time I did not.
Yeah.
Weirdly enough, that would have been funny because we'd probably be about the same place right now
Mm-hmm.
watching it. Let me
Pull her
see.
up.
Share or die. Yeah, understand. I'm looking at this on here. I'm not.
That's such a good time. Actually, you know what? I have it right here because I actually pulled up like.
Junior was his
There
name,
you
I
go.
guess, and his name was Noah Diggs, and I actually really liked him.
He was fun.
Yeah, because it, okay, so he's also a little shit in a way,
They all
but
are.
like he had redeeming moments. Like he thought it was fucked up that the dude was keeping that girl hostage. No, it was not his idea. He kept wanting to say it. He didn't want to be implicated in a
I
murder.
told
Yet,
him it was a bad idea, dude. You're already like your fingerprints are all over this crime scene, dude. Like you gotta leave town. Like
oh, and then he sends it to his girlfriend. His girlfriend or ex-girlfriend. His ex-girlfriend dies. He then calls up her best friend.
What was that?
That was the weirdest scene ever.
I was like, I hope a truck hits your car right now. Like I was really hoping for that, like, like banger moment where they both just get hit by a truck because they're scumbags. He's trying to mac on like and her too.
yeah,
Like your friend.
because
Your
at first
friend
she's like, that was my friend. I really care
for a
about her. And then
second.
then all of a sudden she's like changing her mind,
Just
changing
like,
her
oh,
tune.
really?
Oh,
You think
really?
I'm
Yeah.
cute? Oh, yeah, I
Jesus
like you
Christ.
too. Like,
Oh
dude,
my goodness.
what?
That was so funny. Because it did change like drastically.
Oh yeah, on a dime. She just 180'd hard.
I
Like, oh,
know.
who's that bitch? But
Oh
I think
well.
I think that's, and maybe I'm reading into it. And of course, like you might see a movie that like somebody could have just, even though they put their heart and soul in it, they kind of just threw it together. They didn't really have much to it. But like I'm gonna find a deeper meaning because I'm insane. And
Right.
like it does really kind of play into how maybe like you were saying the generational thing, how our generation kind of views these younger kids as just heartless, and
Yeah.
that's obviously not the case, but like, and
Well,
maybe some of it is us also too dealing and grappling with like the shit we went through in high school and middle school, you know what I mean, and kind of projecting that onto the characters that we have in these movies.
maybe. Because
But she was garbage.
yeah, and it goes to a lot of like, yeah, I don't know if I want to like read too much into it, but there is this little bit of like, we do live in kind of a TikTok culture, of
Sure.
like, but then there's a lot of also there's a lot of people who are trying to fuck each other over
Oh
so
yeah.
that they can get to where they want to be. And uh but I think that's every generation. I
I'm
remember
sure
watching
it
this, one of
is.
my favorite movies. I love this movie called Go. I don't know if you've ever seen it or not.
Mm-mm.
um but it has a scene where it talks about how, do you know how you get to the top? By being so, this is talking about this certain generation that is there or whatever. It's like
Yeah.
being so terrible at your job that the person above you can't do their job, so they mess up and get fired, and now
Just
you're on top.
fail upwards, buddy.
Right.
Fail upwards. Yeah.
And so I laugh because that's sort of what I see in this sort of, stuff.
Mhm.
Weirdly enough, even in this little movie, is like that, they're willing to like share this to kill people in order to get what they want in some ways or another.
And
Um,
honestly, at the very end, her little what she shared with the world was so generic and blanket statement that like what, like that stopped this killer AI that was so weak. Oh, I'm not nice to
well,
the people that love me, and it's like everybody, like that's not, I want like, I would want it to force you to share like an intimate detail, like in unfriended when the kids were like pushed to actually tell the truth about
Right.
shit that they've done. Like I wanted to see something come out, like I don't know, you know what I mean? Like I just wish that there was a little bit more to that ending, that it was impactful enough to make the AI stop. You know what I mean? Not
Mhm.
just I'm confessing the I'm kind of a piece of shit behind closed doors thing,
Right.
which is everybody, right? Like we're all turds, like, but that's just humans. So I just felt like I wanted like a hit or an emotional something. So I did care about the character, because like, I don't know, your parents are shitty and then all of a sudden now they love each other, whatever that was about. And like you're
That
kind of
was weird
shitty.
too, right?
He
Yeah.
totally shot that
What?
dude and was like, well, he's dead. And she's like, but that, like, what? And he's like, yeah, he's dead. All right,
Let's
let's
go.
go.
And she's like, "Are
And
we just gonna leave the body here?" And he's like, "Yep."
he goes, it's not Weekend at Bernie's. And then they take like, 20, 30 steps and they stop. And she's like, what's Weekend at Bernie's? And I'm like, this is not the time for a joke. There have not
Yeah.
been these jokes throughout the entire movie. You can't just shoehorn in a joke and like, what are you doing? So that
I
was
thought
like
it was a little awkward.
jarring, right?
Yeah, it was kind of jarring. It was like, wait, or what just the fuck just happened? Like,
Oh, he's dead now. The guy that like was kind of interesting because he was crazy. Like, oh,
yeah,
oops.
he was probably the most interesting character. But then again, once again, it goes back to my like everybody's trying to kill everybody for
Yeah.
some reason that they have.
There's always a
That
bigger fish.
right, and so like his reason was because his girl or ex-girlfriend got killed by this girl, and now he wants to get revenge, I guess. And
And then
then, but then the
her
thing
dad
that
blew
really
his head
annoys
off.
me is like I thought the whole point really was that he was going to have her, you know, whatever, he was going to murder her, right? So
I
then
wasn't.
why take her to see the guy that it would end the one thing that he was trying to do to her? Because otherwise, then what's going to happen is they're going to end it, right? And then,
What?
they'll end it, and then that guy will, what will that guy do? Then he's gonna let her go, and she's gonna go to the cops and say,
And
"Hey,
he's in jail
that
forever.
guy, you know what I mean? He's gonna have to literally gonna have to kill her himself, or something. It was never gonna end well for that guy,
No, he didn't really have like a clean way out of that. I was hoping that they would have went and like done whatever, and if he had just stayed with her in that room in his place for a few more hours, she would have gotten the freaking thing, because she got it like later that night when she was at dinner with her parents,
right?
which weird time for a family dinner after dad blows a guy's head off, but okay, it's fine. This is a weird family. And if he had just held on to her there and not followed this weird, rabbit hole to this guy who's like stalking the virus and has the algorithm figured out or whatever nonsense he was
There
talking
is
about.
no algorithm because
Listen,
it's based on the fucking people sending it to somebody they
it's
know, right?
random, right? Yeah.
Yeah. There's
How many
no
people are on my
algorithm.
phone? Yeah, he's
Yeah.
crazy.
Like he doesn't know that shit. He doesn't know how many people are in everybody's. That was
Listen,
just
he had
ugh.
string and he had maps and he had push pins. Okay. He is a legitimate crazy man. All right.
Crazy man. Yeah, that I get
He's
it.
got
But
tarps on the walls for some reason. I guess he didn't want to put push pins in the wall. Very considerate of him if he's renting. I don't know.
that might be a director thing. That might have been
Yeah.
like, let's make sure,
Let's make it super crazy, clean room, but it's not,
yeah.
because it's what? I don't know. I'm not going to justify it. It's just because that's why. Because this is what was in the budget.
This was in the script.
Yeah.
There's a great line in was it Alien was it that Alien, the fourth Alien movie, Alien Resurrection or whatever.
Yeah.
And the director is talking to Joss Whedon, and Joss Whedon's like, "Why did you guys do this?" And the director goes, "Because it's in the script." And it was funny because it wasn't. It was just like, what the fuck? Why did you guys do this? It's not in the script. You guys just completely bashed my, film. That, whatever. Anyway, like that is what it is. It's like, it's because it's in the script. Let's do this.
Yeah.
And that's the answer for everything in this movie is, it says in the script.
Yep, that's what we're doing.
Just do it. Yeah, that's where we're going with.
But like that's the fun thing though. I kind of love that because the cast and crew, like everybody knows it's ridiculous, you know, like everybody that worked on it, but like they still put like everything into it. I don't
Yeah,
feel I don't feel like any member of the cast is not trying their hardest. You know what I mean? Like I don't think there's anybody who's just kind of sleepwalking through the film. I think
there's
they're
no
all,
Bruce Willis's
yeah,
now.
they really, it
Bruce
seems like
Willis
they
is
really care.
phoning everything in these days, but
Well,
there's
I mean,
nobody.
when you've got all the money, whatever, right? Like
It's like
just
whatever.
give
Yeah.
you the money.
But these people don't, and that like
Yeah.
they're hoping that this is the movie that kind of rises their thing, and
Which
you
I
know what,
love.
it 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 is out there, like it's on Tubi, it's out there, it's on Plex apparently, which there's a lot of good stuff on Plex as well.
Yeah.
I mean, there's they are out there. So like, these people who, this is why I love watching these movies, because there are people that I'm like, oh wow, this person's never really been in a movie. I could contact these people and put them in my movie.
Yeah.
And other actors and directors and writers and everything think that way too. They like,
Yeah.
they'll look at a movie and they're like, that person was really good. And that uses it, but if they had just phoned it in, no actors in here at all. I don't think I didn't feel like anybody
No, they
at
were all,
all. Yeah, they were all
yep.
trying,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe some of them weren't the greatest, and some of the lines were not delivered well. I mean, I did like the outtakes though. I felt a little weird because it kind of, generally what you do is you put the outtakes like during the credits
After some time
or
has
after
elapsed from the
from
final
the
scene.
credits.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
from the credits. So you would shoot maybe like you'll put maybe uh 3 minutes of credits, and then you go to like outtakes, then you go back to the credits, something like that. They did not give you any time. They went right into the outtakes, and I was like, this is a little weird. I'm not used to
The
going right
transition was
in.
harsh.
Yeah, the transition was just a little abrupt. Just like apparently a lot of this movie is like very abrupt. There's the abruptness of the mother and the father hating each other, and then loving each
What was
other.
that? Because why? Because he killed a kid?
No, no,
Like,
no, no, no. It happened before then. It was them trying to find the daughter
oh yeah,
that
when
brought
he
them
finally showed
together.
that he like gave a shit about something. Like
Right.
they reunited because of their love for their daughter, even though in like 2 scenes prior to that, he basically told his daughter, like, yeah, I don't give a shit. Like
Yeah.
when she
Oh, and
was like,
even
do you care where I'm going?
or even when she's like, "Hey, I haven't seen her. Where is she? Blah blah blah." He's
Yeah.
like, "I don't,
He didn't give a
I don't
shit.
care." And then all of a sudden, there was like one line or whatever, and he was like, "Oh wow, now I can't." Like
Get
it.
my fucking gun.
Yeah, I'm gonna go get my gun. I'm gonna shoot this guy in the head, and or
Because
whatever.
Jessica died because the mom had talked, because I guess when the dude texted from Becca's phone to her mom saying like, oh yeah, everything's cool, I'm at Jessica's house, I love you, bye, her mom was like, wait a minute, my daughter never says that she loves me, something is
That
amiss.
was that
And
was
so
it. That
like,
was it. That was
yeah, and
it.
like
I
goes
love
to the
you. All of a
dad.
sudden, they're
She
like,
was like, why does our kid love us all of a sudden? What is this? This is some bullshit. She's a pod person, clearly. And then she called Jessica's mom or Jessica's house. First of all, they don't have landlines. What if they even, anyways?
I don't know. My parents still do, so
I
whatever.
want one back so bad.
Yeah,
Miss
you should
it.
get one.
I
They're
will.
still they still exist.
I know that, but and we can make them fun and retro now, and that's a good time, and they're satisfying to dial on.
Yeah.
But then she was like describing like, oh, she peeled the skin off her face or whatever, and I can't remember if they're like what her actual triggering line was, which means it wasn't like a setup or anything like that. I think she was just describing it, and then like the camera pushed in on him real tight, and he was like, get my fucking gun. And that was like, what? And then all of a sudden they're like, he's the A-team and he's going out there to like wreck some shit. And how did he find them? They just happened to be walking through the same person's backyard.
Yeah, like it was like
I love it. But that's indie, like low budget, because they are definitely shooting in somebody's backyard. One of the cast or crew
backyard
members'
filmmaking.
backyard, 100%, which I love. And like when I point it out and I'm laughing about it, it's because I've been there and I love it. And it's like you said, I mean, you'll look at movies like this to find new actors who aren't jaded and phoning it in. They're fresh, they want to be on screen, they want to do this, they get behind the project, they promote the project. Like,
Yeah.
indie horror is like the best place to find up and comers
and people who like really do give a shit about the genre, because the people who act in horror films are generally people who like horror films generally, usually. Sometimes you might have somebody who got into it because that's all they can get at this time, but they'd rather be doing romantic comedies, whatever. But generally speaking, people who act in horror films, like there's that want to die in a horror film,
everybody wants that, right?
Right. And
how am I gonna die in this script, guys? Come on.
Right. Or, hey, I've always wanted to die in a horror script. Can I act in your movie? And and that's great. Like, that's right.
My first ever on camera role was a death scene. I was a zombie and I got a shotgun blast through the roof of the mouth and it blew out the back of my head and I hit a wall and I get to slide, and it was like the greatest day of my life. I got to get killed on camera and do the fun like dead body wall slide. That's like a dream, like.
Right. And I probably died way more than I've lived, in my movies. And that to me is fun. Like, it's fun. Like, let's see how we're going to die today or whatever.
Yeah.
And we're going to see how these kills are going to be. And some of them are very inventive and some of them are just like, okay. Like nothing was bad, I don't think.
Well, okay. Real quick. Let's double on back to your buddy in the woods. And who in the hell axed him in the gut? Is that the mastermind? Did he set up the live stream where people are like, this is fire, oh, this is too scary, I can't watch it? What was that? What? He stole the dude's
the worst
mask.
part is that like it never comes again.
It never goes anywhere. They're just gone. And I actually kind of like that couple. I was interested in them. And then like dude got axed and then the other dude was gone. And I was like, oh, I miss him. Come back. Like, come finish the movie with us. Like, I want more of that character. I would have liked to see him somehow get involved in some way. That would have been kind of cool.
Yeah, that would have been cool if like all of the actors, all the characters that kind of lived or whatever, or were living or surviving, that kind of got together to figure out how to stop this thing.
Final destination, like regrouping, where everybody's gone their separate ways and then they all come back together in the second act and then.
Yeah, or third act, actually. Usually by the third act or like middle of the second act, they're
whoever's
about
left.
To, whoever's left, they regroup and then they try to figure out how to stop it or whatever. And I get it. They tried the Final Destination thing. With this is like, you have two choices, but nobody ever does the first choice because, they'd rather pass the buck is the idea. Nobody would rather, which gives the truth or dare vibe. I think that was the thing is like, you have that choice of truth or dare, but then the problem they fucked up on that is like making that rule that like you couldn't skip, like you couldn't do that
for every two truths you had to pick a dare,
or something. And that's the problem. I think that's the only problem I have with that movie was like it got to be too annoying with that. Like,
and it's not believable that people wouldn't just spit something out, right? Like, if your life is on the line after the first person died, like I understand not believing it the first time around. After the first dude died, if I get it, truth, and I'm going to say what like my deepest, darkest secret without hesitation, because it's either say it or die. Like, I don't understand I guess I get like for the movie, for plot reasons, obviously to move the story along, they have to have that kind of like dilemma and hesitation and what am I going to do? And some people still don't believe it, even though they've seen it, the skeptic kind of thing. And I get it for plot reasons, but I feel like in reality, if someone was like, you tell me your deepest, darkest secret or I'm about to kill you, okay, I'm an open book. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I don't think I would hesitate.
Right.
If I got forced into a dare, I might.
It's something that nobody else knows except you. So you really got to start thinking in 60 seconds, you got to think, not a lot of time to like, I mean, you're going to be panicking. You're going to be thinking like, what can I write? And the only thing I got sort of mad when you mentioned before, I mean, did you mention before the scene with her writing the big long, thing. And it like, it went on way too long. I'm like, come on now.
The
You don't really gotta
timer,
explain
girl,
that thing.
the timer.
Yeah. Yeah.
This
I
is
mean,
Jeopardy, like you need to
do
hear that
do
music in
do
your,
do do.
yeah,
Yeah.
get it, like,
You
and
know,
watching that, so that little framing narrative of cutting into the cell phone screen was so aesthetically unpleasing to my eye, to have
right.
it go from the full screen to this, and then to watch people as they slowly misspell words and
Hmm.
autocorrect. And I get it, that's normal texting, but that's not fun to watch,
Right.
coupled with the kind of like underwater sound muffling that they were doing anytime it cut to that screen. There's the scene where the guy and Becca are in the room, and it's when she gets the messages from the crazy guy,
Right.
and he's texting for her, and it will cut back and forth from him basically reading what we just saw on screen to the phone screen again with that muffled sound, and he's still talking and they muffle his voice, and I just found that kind of like
Mm.
very jarring,
Yeah.
because like I don't know, and I get it, like it's easy for an exposition dump to have the text on the screen or to move it along that way, but to have us see it on the screen in real time and then have him repeat everything that's on there. And I get like Becca couldn't see the screen, but that was just also kind of like, oh god damn, this is taken, like that was like the longest section of time in the movie for me,
And it
that
was it was
30
supposed to be like a
seconds,
yeah, 30
yeah,
seconds or a
felt
minute
like
or
10
whatever.
minutes,
Yeah.
and like get
Dear
to the
Lord.
point.
Yeah. And like I kind of like the scene where she comes out and she doesn't know whether or not she's okay because like
Yeah,
it didn't,
that
she's not
like
sure if it played
eerie.
out or not because like there was sort of I feel like that needed a little bit more music or something because like it didn't give me complete suspense, but it did give me a
Yeah.
little bit of suspense of like, okay, what's gonna happen after she's done this because nobody else has apparently done this. So is it gonna work? Is it not gonna work? Oh, it works, but then it doesn't work because the brother still gets it or something.
Yeah, so his whole, and that was kind of the thing that I want, like if I were one of those characters and home, like the dude's telling me like I figured this out and I stopped it, I would be like, then why the fuck am I getting this message? You didn't stop shit, you idiot. Like you
Right.
managed to delay the inevitable, but it's probably going to come back around to you too, you know what I mean,
Right.
that kind of thing. So like I don't think there's like a sad, I think they kind of realized they were in a situation where there's no real satisfying way to kind of end it at this point.
Well, they
So
never figured
let's
out a way,
anything.
like, because what you got to do is you got to look at, okay, so you look at, let's take a look at Final Destination, right?
Mm,
It's death. They, every time we don't understand, nobody understands. There's no like exposition. Not even Tony Todd gives us this, exposition
and I
of
would have loved to hear it.
why you get that premonition. Like,
Yeah.
who is it that's giving them the premonition
Someone's
to do that?
intervening clearly.
Someone's
Who's, is it
yeah,
God?
is it God? But we don't know because there's
Is it
no
Tony
like,
Todd?
maybe because he is that guy that knows everything. He's
I would
saying,
have liked to see a continuation of it, kind of delving into Tony Todd being a god, like not even necessarily God, but the antithesis of death, and to the whole like keep everything in balance. He's got to be
mm,
there to fuck with death for a reason. Like there's some sort of epic kind of balancing act that they're doing, and he kind of has to give these
well,
guys up as sacrificial, whatever. Like
and I'm glad they never show like there's a movie called, and I think we're gonna do it on 31 Days of Indie Horror this year. I don't know who's going to be doing it with me, but I know I want to do it because I
mhm.
saw it the other day and I remember going to the video store and seeing it. So I'm like, oh my God, that's what I love about Tubi. It will show me
Yeah,
movies that I used to look at the video store and be like, that looks like a cool movie, and never end up renting or
yeah,
watching.
and then they all
So
went away, so now
yeah, they all went away. So now like Tubi is our video store.
yep.
So I saw it was called Grim Reaper, and it's literally about the Grim Reaper coming and killing people, you
Hmm.
know, then I guess he's supposed to go after or something. I think that's what it's about. If not, it's a guy dressed up like the Grim Reaper, you know, which I would hate. I would hate it being a guy dressed up like the Grim Reaper, like a serial killer, because
Yeah.
I love those supernatural stories. And so anyway, looking back at Final Destination, there's like, you know, so deaths coming after them one by one, the
Yeah.
way you know, the way that they were supposed to die, right? And so they kill each other one by one. And then I guess, you know, to stop is to live, to
Yeah.
survive. If you survive and you don't die from death, you know, then
You've broken the
you're
chain or
breaking the
whatever.
chain, and death, I guess, moves on or something. I don't know.
Just
But
gives up. Yeah.
sometimes, yeah,
All right.
he doesn't give up. Apparently he doesn't go after like the next person or something, you know, or whatever. Like, but you've survived, you know, and everything like that. That's sort of what I feel like they were supposed to go with this route, but it was sort of hard because they kind of broke themselves into this, like, you know, they kind of wrote themselves into a wall
Yeah.
where it's like, okay, is it supernatural? Is it not supernatural? We don't know. There's no clear answer to this, except that there's an algorithm and all this stuff. It
Whatever
didn't,
that means.
yeah, there was no real, there was just mumbo jumbo to me.
Buzzwords.
And
Yeah. 100%.
yeah, and I get it, you know, they're really trying hard to like make something cool, like make another Final Destination, make another what was that movie that came out? There was one that was like the selfie man or something, you know, stuff like that, like
Oh,
stuff
like the Slender Man movie?
well, actually it's called the Selfie Man.
The Selfie Man.
Yeah, so I'm guessing it's sort of like the
Targeting
Slender Man.
vain tweens that take too many
I don't know.
pictures of
I
themselves.
think so, and
Something like
I
that.
want to see it. I want to see it.
Yeah.
Just because I like teens that suck dying. You
Well,
know.
that's it. Like it's cathartic. It really is, and that's why you watch a lot of these movies and you're like, God, everybody in this movie sucked. But like we said, it's a relief and kind of like an exercise in experiencing death or dealing with trauma and traumatic events. I mean, that's the whole thing with horror is it's that release, and then you get that rush of endorphins after going through something traumatic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Uh-huh.
that's why you tend to, and part of the reason why I think that some people really, and I'm one of them, get like violently defensive of some of their favorite horror movies, because when a movie traumatizes you are bonded to that movie. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like it becomes kind of
Jaws.
like
You know.
it becomes a part of you, and you will, like, that's the hill you'll die on kind of thing. But like for the most part, a lot of this is just life kind of sucks, and sometimes you want to see an asshole get their comeuppance,
Right.
because you don't get to really experience that. So watching these dumb shitty kids, and not the actors, obviously it's the characters they're playing, people,
Right.
but watching these bad characters just get some justice, and you feel like good at the end. You're like, ha, suck it, you jerks, like
But even then, yeah, you're right, because it sort of leaves you empty at the end of the movie,
it
because
does.
it it's sort of like, okay, well, it's done. You know, like it
This
doesn't have like that, like, oh man, I am so glad I watched that movie because all those kids died, you know,
Yeah.
that I didn't like. It doesn't give that. I don't know what it is, but I think it's just the way it was made. The
Mhm.
execution of the idea is just
It
it
lacks a little bit of something. And I noticed, like, the movie says on Tubi, it says 100, Jesus, it says an hour and 16 minutes. It's really like an hour and 6-7 minutes long. I honestly think if they had packed on maybe another 25 minutes, they could have flushed some stuff out and maybe got some more character building scenes, to just give us maybe a little bit more feeling towards some of these characters.
I think if we had liked Becca more,
Yeah.
we would have, and she was, I think she was like the one who was like the most the biggest name sort of person. Like Michael Kenneth Farr has done a lot of work
Yeah.
in Florida. Like if you look at his IMDb, it's crazy. But the girl who played Becca, I think I looked at her thing and she had
Brand
the
new.
most. No, I
Or
think she was
no, most films. Yeah.
um out of all the ones of here, like she's had how many? Oh, I guess she is brand new. She was in a movie called Graveyard Shift. She was in Share or Die, The Wild Man Skunk Ape, which sounds awesome. Um,
Want
and
that on a
then,
shirt?
well, what is it? A movie called Brackish that she's going to be in.
There are so many people in this movie that it's like their faces, it's like, I know you. Where do I know you from? I feel like I've seen her in something, but I don't think I've seen anything listed on the IMDb. There's the actor who was acting in this, but I noticed he was more of like a writer producer, playing the newsman, the news anchor.
right,
He looks like somebody I know. I can't place his face. I feel like I've seen him, but he's done nothing else in terms of acting.
right,
And then there is, funny enough, because I'm from Buffalo, New York, there actually is an actor in here from Buffalo, New York as well. And he's someone who I have been staring at his IMDb page, trying to figure out where else I know him from. Austin Janowski, yes, Austin Janowski. He's actually from my town, and I don't know if he just has like Buffalo man face, but I swear to God, I've seen this man somewhere before. And I
he's
want to
playing
like
Rob. Which one was Rob?
the dad.
Oh, he was the dad.
Get my fucking gun. I'm gonna say that to people all the time. When I want my phone, it's gonna be get my fucking gun. Like that's the best part, and one of my favorite parts in the movie. I just love
Yeah.
that 180 right there in
Well,
his.
he's been he's been in a lot of stuff.
And he's new. He's a new actor. It says that he's only been going for about 4 years now. But I swear to God, I know his face. I swear to God, it's gonna drive me
Oh,
crazy. I'm just gonna wander the streets of Buffalo looking for him.
I have a feeling one of my buddies from Florida knows who he is.
Awesome.
Because he does a lot of Florida work with a lot of people I know of. I don't know them personally, but I know of. And now I'm
Yeah,
gonna
but he
have to
played the
check this
dad,
out.
so like you got to check him out, right? Like
Yeah,
that
he
was a
was good.
great.
It was like, once again, it was the bad writing of like
Yeah.
the 180 of the switch of like all of a sudden now I care about my daughter, but like 2 minutes later, 2 minutes earlier, I did not.
They were
You
like
know,
dancing in the living room in front of a fucking fireplace. And the daughter's like, let me get in on this. And she's like hugging them and they're all dancing together. I'm like, you guys were like Rob Zombie movie, like
white trash,
backwards
like,
white.
yeah,
Yes. Like I was like, this is a farce, right? And like all of a sudden now you care. Like, I don't know what you're on, but I want it. Like,
yeah.
good Lord.
It's sort of
Some of
funny. I
that.
don't know. Well, anyway, all in all, I could say it's free on Tubi. Go check it out if you're in the mood for like teenagers get
Mhm.
slaughtered doing a share or die, like one of those chain letter things,
One of these days, this concept will be done right. I know it's coming. Every movie that's come before it has kind of put pieces in there that I really like. And I just want to see the culmination of all of these types of movies into one, like, knock your socks off. Like, let's get a Lion's Gate on it, or, you know what I mean? Like, let's get something to really get behind this. Cause I like this concept. This is a good time. Like I watched it
yeah.
3 times now in 2 days. So
Wow. There you go. Well, I mean, you had to refresh yourself and everything,
exactly. Yeah,
but
100%.
I, and normally sometimes I get annoyed by low budget filmmakers who put like rap or hip hop in their music because it's a lot of like low budget like new artists who aren't very good, but like that's
Mhm.
what they can afford.
Sounds a little
The
rough.
people that they had that did the hip hop and rap music and stuff in this was good.
Yeah, it
I
was
was
enjoyable.
yeah, I was actually wanting to sing along to it. I was like, this is actually poppy and catchy and shit. So I was like, this is actually pretty damn good. All right. And that started it off, like they have
Yeah.
the aerial shot, obviously done by drones with the music. And I'm like, all right, I'm getting like 10 things I hate about you and all these other,
We got some production value going
right.
on, guys.
But I'm getting this kind of like vibe of like you know uh kind of fun, like high school
Yeah.
kid vibes. And I felt obviously the kids that are high school kids are obviously in their 20s or
100%.
older.
One dude's like married with 3 kids, and the like the lead male, what's it? I can't not remember the actor's name or the character's name. But the one who kidnapped Becca, like he's first movie he's ever done. He's like an older, not older, I'm gonna say older, he's younger than me, but like married with 3 kids. And
Yep.
he's just popping up in this movie to play, I guess maybe vaguely like 18, 19 would be their assumed ages, possibly.
Yeah. Yeah, about
We're
I think
thinking.
some of them are younger, supposed to be younger. Some of them probably were younger,
Yeah.
which always is sort of weird when you have like somebody who's really older and then somebody who's really younger. And I've had that happen where, like we've had to have that because of the movie, whatever.
Yeah.
But like it is sort of always a little jarring to kind of see that. But anyway, I will tell everybody, go see it. If
Yeah.
you're like, if this is something that interests you at all, like from what we've told you, and you haven't seen it yet, once again, we just spoiled the fuck out of it. So I don't know why you're listening to this. Or if you did already see it, let us know what you guys think about this movie. Was it something that you're interested in? So go watch it on Tubi, then come back and listen to our little commentary about it. What you guys thought. I mean, it honestly, all in all, this movie isn't terrible. It's fun. It's enjoyable. The people, I think the 2 directors did a great job making something that it made enough sense to like not be like absolutely 100% confusing. There was parts where obviously there should be a little bit more exposition, but then we have the exposition guy who still didn't explain it all enough.
I love the exposition guy though.
I know.
They're always my favorite character.
They just show up and they just spout out exposition, then they walk away.
Bye, exit stage left.
Yeah, right. I'm gone.
Like, yes.
I do love. I'm gonna end with this. I think, but I do love when he shows up and the 2 of them are there, and the guy says something is like, "Who the hell are you?" Like, like, why are you here?
Yeah.
Like, what? I thought I only wanted one person here. I asked for Becca.
But that line blew my mind, right? Because on his little crazy man tarped up walls, he has dude's picture and name.
So you should know who everybody is.
Because like I said, I've watched it 3 times in 2 days, so now I'm crazy. And I was watching because I watched to see it, I watched to figure out some things, and I watch it again to pay attention to background. And I was like, that's his face. He's got like his face and name and probably address and articles. And he had literally every character, I think, on the wall. And it's like, what do you mean you don't know who this guy is? Like,
who are you?
who are you, dude? Like,
yeah, they should ask that guy that. That would make more sense. But yeah, no, it was so funny because he was just like, who are you? And then like, dude, yeah, like would you say that's a continuity issue right there? I feel like that's a continuity issue.
Yeah.
They should have like maybe a script issue.
I think maybe they like whoever was doing set deck in the crazy room just had a little too much fun with it and was like, we've got all these promotional shots of the actors. Let's go ahead and tape them to the wall, like that kind of thing.
Maybe. I don't know because it's supposed to have a point to it. And then of course, I guess not because he didn't know who everybody was.
But I think, like I said, like it's got the shell of something that I really want to see.
Right.
Like it is a springboard to like making this, but like better.
See, and that's the thing is low budget films. If more people from Hollywood would watch these low budget films and then say, you know what, that's a great concept. Let's make it better, but not like steal the concept.
No, hey, contact these people and go, hey, we want to put some money behind your shit. Now that we've seen what you can do with nothing, here's some money.
I'm guessing those producers would be okay with that. Let's see what you could do, with extra money. Because I guarantee a lot of it was a budget constraint. 100%. Couldn't hire, the most fantastic actors. Could only, but they were still good. No.
Well, I mean, you're thinking like shooting in people's backyards and scenes that seem like out of place and having it just be like this tiny little fucking dorm room hole that you're filming in for a good chunk of the movie because like that's where you can shoot,
right.
You've got what you got and you make do with it. I always talk about is it Leprechaun in the Hood? Yeah, the first one, where you can see the top of their set walls. Like,
I forgot that he went back to the hood.
yeah, he did go back to the hood. That one was very cliche, but the first one was great. But like, you could tell it was no budget because you could see around the set and you could see boom mics and you can see craft services shit, like, when a film just didn't have money, and they did the best with what they could. They shot in the locations they had access to, and that was it. And we would just give them the money and let them take their idea and put on film what was in their head, because that this was like the bare bones of what they had envisioned, but it was the best that they could do. And it's
Exactly.
like, just contact them, give them more
Maybe
money.
they can make Leprechaun Back to the Hood again.
Listen, I would watch it.
Back to the Hood
Absolutely.
again.
Just as long as it's Warwick Davis, because
well, they have a new Leprechaun.
yes, and he was great too, though. The costume was beautiful.
It'll definitely be a different, it'd have to be a different one unless he comes back for one more. I mean, whatever.
Reprise the role one last time. Let's get him in there.
Maybe we get
nightmare this bitch. Let's.
No, I was thinking more like a multiverse thing, like they're doing with Marvel now. It's like now all of a sudden we had 2 leprechauns, or whatever, like a leprechaun variant.
We can all just pretend like Leprechaun in space is fucking not a thing that happened. It exists in a different universe, which was destroyed.
I love how terrible it is. Come on. It's so bad, but it's so much fun of how bad it is.
Like,
I can't ever exist that doesn't exist.
Spider-Man, like, what was that?
I'm sure we're gonna do it on Indie Film Cafe at some point.
It hurts me. It hurts me.
All right, well, thank you so much. Stick around. But before we go, so you're a photographer. Do you have a website for everybody?
So right now, I really just kind of, I'm building my portfolio on a website right now and getting all my photography stuff up there. It's going to include like my lifestyle photography that I do, boudoir photography, my body paints, fantasy shoots, things like that. So I'm getting that all together currently. I mostly just kind of hang around on Facebook and Instagram because I'm old. I'm terrible at promoting myself. I'll promote everybody else till I die, but like for myself, I'm just like, yeah, I guess I'm around, come find me.
Well, we really appreciated that you let us use the picture of Lydia for the dark office and everything. We really,
it looked great.
Yeah, it looked fantastic. We really we're happy about that. So thank you so much.
Of course.
So also thank you for being a guest on the show. I'm sure we'll have you back for Indie Film Cafe or another show at some point, because I know you've been wanting to do more. So we really appreciate that. And everybody, tune in tomorrow for another day of indie horror. Have a good one. Bye.